everyone, and welcome back to the How to Be a Handmade Boss podcast. I'm here with my husband.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. You know, they can see you on video, but they can also listen to you on podcast through the mic.
Okay.
I forgot to tell you that before we started.
That's fine. Yeah, no problem.
The title of this is basically, what does your partner think of your handmade business? Let's chat to my husband to find out. But I popped it in the Facebook group and on Instagram, and a couple of people put like a couple of things that they would like to know. I asked the team and they said a few things as well. So I just thought I'd basically interview Ash to kind of see what his thoughts are on a couple of questions. If you're watching on the video, you can see Phoebe in the background just kind of milling around the office, trying to escape, no doubt. Yeah, we just thought we'd have like a little chat, really. So we're not just talking about the handmade business part. We're talking about handmade bosses. We're just talking about general life stuff, really. So Jane, who's part of the team, said she would like to know about the good and the bad parts. What's been great and what's been difficult? So go for it.
Okay, so what's been great? What's, in terms of that question, when it says what's been great, is that like from my point of view as to what's gone well for your business, or what I'm observing? Or
I imagine people listening will want to know, like, I suppose, like family life, like what's been good
as a result of your business.
Yeah,
what
like,
have you done? I guess, like, what has your business brought for you and us together?
Yeah, not just like a financial point of view, but I think also looking at what's been the good and the bad parts of like being self-employed.
Yeah,
not doing the 9-to-5 thing, and kind of, because I guess that's different for a lot of people listening. So maybe like the good and the bad parts of that to start off with. Okay.
In terms of what's great, I mean, you seem a lot happier in yourself. Obviously, you were working a 9 till 5, 8 till 5, something like that job, pretty much every single Saturday as well, which put a bit of not a strain on us, but it was a bit of a frustration, I think, wasn't it, a little bit?
Yeah.
Because obviously I'd be Monday to Friday and you'd be Saturday, so we only had really one quality day together, and that's no longer the case. So that's a great part, I guess.
You guess.
You guess. Your handmade business.
Cheers. I suppose it's nice you're here.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's been great. Obviously, now we've got a house, we've got a bit more space. You've obviously got your own office, so it's out of the house as well. Because I think before you used to try and switch off from your business a little bit at the end of the day, but obviously going from one room to another, or sometimes being in the same room as where you've been working all day, you can't sort of disconnect, I guess, if that's the right word to call it. Whereas now, having the cabinet separated, yeah, you seem a lot happier. I think you've got quite a good work-life balance now, generally. Obviously, we have to do a few things when we're out and about sometimes, or if we're on vacation, but things like that can't really happen. So it's not really a big issue, really, is it?
No. So the good and the bad parts. So what's great and what's been difficult? I'm just kind of like mulling that question over in my head. So I suppose, like, obviously you said about being happier, like out of a 9-to-5, which I'm sure a lot of you can probably relate to. What about for like spending time together? Because I know that currently, as of recording this, like we're having a month off, which is insane. I did do an episode talking about that. I can't remember what number it is, but it will be out at some point around this one. But what's been the difficult parts, being self-employed and working from home and all that sort of stuff?
I guess, to be honest with you, like from what I see of you, some days and some weeks it just goes so smoothly and there's no issues, and other times it's, oh my goodness, this has just happened to the website, or this has happened to Facebook, or I had to stop working, or something happens. And then you'll sort of like wake up at like 10:30 at night, and then you'll come into a lounge with a laptop trying to sort it all out. So that is one thing I've never expected to sort of see, I guess, because in business, when you're working 9 till 5, you have departments and certain people that look after all that within their set hours, whereas you've got to do everything yourself, really. And as much as I try and offer to help you out as much as I can, looking at things like Kajabi and all these other sorts of things that you use, all these systems.
You're like, Kajabi, huh?
But I just don't know it, you know, so I feel a bit powerless to try and help, even though I want to help. So it's kind of down to you, which is, you know, it's sad to see a little bit in some ways, because, you know, I feel powerless to help you. But yeah.
So another question that we were asked is, what has Ash learned about business? What were you expecting and what were you really surprised about?
I have no idea about businesses, generally speaking. Obviously, all I know from a business is from my own experience of working for one, where you go in, different people in different departments all collaborate together. It all just sort of clicks and works. But then in reality, it kind of doesn't, because you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So you go in, like for me, for example, I would go in, tap a few buttons, do what IT people do.
Tap a few buttons. Turn it off and on again.
It's a bit more complex than that.
Is it?
But yeah, like you collaborate with like HR, marketing, whoever, and it all just seems to work. But behind the scenes, you don't know what's going on. You know, like the CEOs may have issues with the business that they don't know about or don't tell you about. You just don't know. So like with you, for example, initially, perhaps I never thought you were disorganized, but I didn't know how much chaos goes on behind the scenes to make everything work. So that's something I've learned. What was the other thing? What was I expecting? I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest with you. It's a difficult one to answer, because like I say, I had no expectations and I didn't know what businesses were all about. You know, starting and running a business, from my point of view, was something I'd never considered doing. I always considered it all, you know, like brainy people do that. And,
you are brainy.
Well, thank you. That's my little way. But, you know.
Oh, no, you are brainy.
But, you know, you have like CEOs, and you look at powerful people like Richard Branson, for example, Alan Sugar.
Branston.
That's what it's named, isn't it? No, not Branson like pickle. Branson.
Branston Pickle. Branson. Richard Branson. I just imagine a jar called Richard. Branson.
But you look at people like that, and Alan Sugar, Bill Gates, they're all like big, brainy, you know, great people. And, you know, sometimes you look at these people and you think, well, you're not like that. But so business owners are like that, or big business with corporations are run by people like that. You sort of separate yourself from them to you. Yeah.
You know, Richard Branson, not Branston, mind you.
Not the inventor of the pickle.
Richard Branson, the imposter. No, you know Richard Branson, he had dyslexia as a teenager, so I'm reading here. And he dropped out of school at the age of 16. So he's not, you know.
But you don't realise that unless you Google it. How do you know about that? Or if you read his autobiography? 'Cause all I'm trying to get at is that you see people like that who appear rich, powerful, strong leadership, you know. They have their own, I don't know what the word is really. They're a different type of people to what I would consider myself to be.
What would you consider yourself to be?
I think my biggest, strongest characteristics are my sort of, I care for people a lot. I'm caring, sensitive. I want to make sure people are okay, happy. Whereas a lot of, from what I see of business people, it's very much cutthroat, and, you know, some people are all about get rich quick. Some people don't care if they have to cut departments or slash budgets and stuff like that. Whereas I don't think personally I'd have that in me, really.
Do you think have you ever seen the Wolf of Wall Street film?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's too long.
Yeah, he can't sit still for movies. It's like a 3-hour movie. You have to cut it down into like 3 nights.
Yeah, I just can't sit still that long. I'd love to see Lord of the Rings, but they're like 3.5 hours each. then apparently there's extended cuts, and you think, oh, blimey, like, how do people sit through all that?
There are some people out there now who are like, you've never seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Avatar was a struggle sitting through all that.
You didn't even watch the second one. I did.
Nah, that's too long. That's even longer, isn't it, than the first?
Yeah, it's like 3 and a bit hours.
Yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah, no. But do you think like the stereotypical view of people in business and entrepreneurs and whatever you want to call it, do you think that they are drawn from movies and TV shows?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of stereotypes around, rich people. Like, for example, if you're wealthy, then it automatically makes you a bit of like an asshat, I guess. That's, stereotypically, you see somebody in a Porsche and people get jealous quite quick, don't they? Or, in a great big Range Rover, all the customizations. It's that, like, you might be driving around in like a little Vauxhall Corsa, and you look at that and you think, oh, how come he's got so much money? He must, I don't know, really. I think there's a lot of, what's the word around it, where you look at it and you automatically assume that. I guess it's stereotyping, isn't it? You stereotype that because they're in a fancy car or got a bigger house, that they're rich and everything's all great in their life and everything like that. And they've probably never had many problems. But, I kind of guess it's almost the opposite. Is that they've had to go... Sorry, just laughing at people on the couch. She's always doing something.
You're not allowed on the couch, but I guess you are on the couch now because that's the only way you're going to keep... she's like led down behind us now.
Sweet. But yeah, no, I think a lot of it comes from traditional sort of typical point of views. And I think even going back years and years and years ago is that, I don't know, 1700s, 1800s, if you owned land, then you'd rent it out and then you'd be kind of like the wealthiest of the land, whereas other people that were poorer would sort of, have to pay you as the landowner. I'm probably just spouting a load of crap now. I'm trying to think of like how it was years ago, and it's still the same. How many people out there like absolutely love and adore their landlords? Because, they may have a property, 2 or 3 buildings, they're getting rent each month, it goes up. For them, they may be inheriting £3,000 a month, however much they're getting versus how much properties are. Versus people out there that are struggling. So I think people that are rich and obviously business owners, landlords, people with money behind them, almost get like a negative view of themselves nowadays. But it's not so much nowadays particularly because, like I say, going back years, it's always kind of been the way a little bit, isn't it? If you've your own land, property or business, you're obviously getting money and a regular income, probably more so than the average Joe that's salaried. Which is why I guess they kind of have a bit of a negative look about them, I guess. People look at it negatively.
Do you see me as a fat cat?
I mean, you could buy me more presents. I'm joking. No, not at all. No.
Hey, I bought you socks.
You did, yeah. That's what everyone wants.
That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants socks.
No. I don't view you at all because you're quite charitable as well. You look after me, you look after Phoebe, you donate to charities and whatnot. So, no, I think you're a good person.
Oh, cheers. Well, maybe not as good as Richard Branston.
No, you didn't invent a pickle.
No, I know. I should have, though, because British people love a good pickle. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I think probably a lot of people out here can kind of relate. Because I guess you have to think of a lot of people listening probably started crocheting, started making jewelry, started quilting memory quilts, and had the idea to turn it into a business, and they're coming up against all of those beliefs and thoughts about people with money being what you've just said, being kind of greedy, I suppose.
Yeah.
I almost think of the Muppet Christmas Carol, and I know that you love that film. One of my
favourites. Yeah.
I know that you love that film, and yeah, I suppose like a lot of people starting out almost have that image in their head of Scrooge.
Yeah, because he's obviously got a lot of money behind him, but he's quite miserable as well, isn't he, about it?
Okay, so here's a question from me then. How has seeing me operate? I mean, I think I worked it out. I've been self-employed and in the business for eight years at this point. Started the business in 2015. That's the jewelry, by the way. So nearly 10 years now. So what has me being in business changed that perception for you?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I mean, in those 10 years, a lot has changed between you and your workload, me and my workload, the direction you're going in life, the direction I'm going in life, and the direction we're going in together. Yeah, it has fundamentally changed. Yeah. Yeah, because I no longer view it like that at all. Because I see the amount of workload that you put in, and you have every right to sort of reap the rewards from what you do, because the amount of hard work you put in, not just to your work either, but at home as well. So although you may have a really, really, really busy day, and it goes on into the evenings, and I may do your dinner a couple of nights because of that, you always try and get the balance right, I guess, so to speak, by trying to do, I don't know, washing or drying late at night. You try and keep it separate, but we're there to support one another, if that makes sense. And I think that's worked really well. But yeah, no, fundamentally, my viewpoint has changed, definitely.
And I think pliability and flexibility in a relationship is really important, because there's going to be ebbs and flows where one person will do slightly more because the other person's doing something, building something, creating something, working towards something, and then it will flip, and then the other person. And we've kind of had like a couple of to's and fro's with that.
Yeah.
So I literally recorded an episode earlier talking about like when when you're first, you're either building a business where you've got a project on, or you're doing something, right? And it's like, I'll turn to you and say, right, I need you to let the dog out. I need you to empty the dishwasher. I need you to empty the fluff out the dryer. I need you to do this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting up and I'm going straight down the office, and I'm getting to work, right? Yeah. And I think, it's important to delegate and kind of let people know, I'm struggling right now. I need some slack to be kind of like picked up. I guess some people out there are going to be kind of wondering, how do I broach that? And there is some like important things that we're going to cover on our little list that we have, but I thought it would be good to bring it up now. So there are a lot of people out there right now who either are growing a handmade business, wanting to start a handmade business, or are looking to really scale it up. How would you say they should perhaps broach the conversation with their other halves about picking up a bit more slack around the home?
Just being completely honest, to be honest with you. That's all you need, is just to be honest. Just say, I've got a lot of time I need to spend doing this, that and the other. If you can, try and give, you don't want to break down so much, but just say, I'm going to be a couple of hours doing this, then I'll be an hour doing that, then a couple of hours doing that. It may overrun slightly, just to give an idea of, if your partner comes home at 5 o'clock, will he see you at 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock? And then in between that, let them know how you can help. If you say to me, Steph, for example, I'm going to be on a call until 6:30, can you do dinner? Then yeah, of course I can, because you're not going to be able to finish until 6:30, so you're understandably going to be hungry then. But yeah, honesty is the best policy, especially in relationships, what I believe anyway. I don't think really you need anything more than that. Just break it down and just say, you need a bit of help and you need some time. And your partner's going to be supportive, hopefully. So,
I think honesty is good. I know through DM conversations, email conversations, comments on lives, countless messages, that I think a big problem that a few people have is that their partner doesn't see the value in them working on the handmade business. I think a lot of people, you have to admit, I suppose when I first was like, I'm going to start a handmade jewelry business, I told everybody, and most people were like, oh, you start a little handmade bit. Oh, so I'm almost wondering, like, how what's the best way to get across that you're building a business that you want to do, but it's got value in it enough for them to pick up some of the slack? I don't know if that makes sense or not.
I mean, generally speaking, if you've got a passion for it, then they should be supportive anyway. If I went to you and said, right, I'm going to start crocheting birdhouses.
Nipple covers.
Make little crochet birdhouses or something like that, something cutesy, something different. I'm just giving a really silly example here, I know, but, if it meant a lot to me and that's what I wanted to do, then my partner should be supportive of that.
Mm.
I can't really see any other way around it, really. Like,
do you think that it's important for them to tell them and show them how important it is and the passion they've got for it? Do you think that's kind of a big part of it?
I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, it depends on relationships, really. I mean, if you said to me anything, you know, like you want to do this, that, or the other because it means a lot to you, I wouldn't sort of ask for like a live demonstration of why, if that makes sense.
A PowerPoint presentation. This is why I like to crochet nipples.
Yeah. But, you know, if you want to do it, you do it.
Yeah.
That's just the way I look at things. If you want to do it, you do it. If I want to do something, I'll do it. And as long as it's sort of sensible and not, you know, going to affect us like majorly sort of thing. You know, like for example, with me football coach, I'm not just going to take a manager's job over in Spain and say, right, we're going to shift over there just because it's a passion of mine.
Yeah.
But, you know, making something, selling something, if it's a passion and it's what you want to do, it's not going to drastically impact you or your partner or both of you at the same time. I can't see any reason why, apart from just saying that you want to do it, there should be an issue, really.
No. Yeah. What would you say if maybe like this is their third or fourth or fifth or sixth or whatever kind of time they've gone, right, X, Y, Z, I'm going to start a business selling this, or I'm going to start, you know, and maybe they're kind of like, oh, okay, that's like, we've tried this already. Like how would you want them to get across the importance of this new business? Or
okay. I'm just trying to think of sort of examples. I mean, I've changed my mind about what career direction I want to go into.
No.
No, but I've had other thoughts before this.
Yeah.
And I've started something and then I've given up on it. Started something else, given up on it. Started something else, given up on it. And then all of a sudden, when I wasn't even really looking, you know, I gave up football because I just couldn't keep up with it and the impact it had on my body and stuff like that. But I didn't want to give up the sport. So then I went into coaching and there was personal challenges with that, which I've now sort of overcame and obviously still going on with. I'm trying to relate it back to business owners, is that if they've started something and, you know, started giving up, but maybe this time around, the fourth or the fifth or even the 12th or 15th time, but this could be the one. I think I'm a big believer in, if you have an idea and you like it enough that you want to give it a go, then give it a go. And if you give it a go and you give up and you think, actually, I don't really like this, or actually, this wasn't for me, or actually, I enjoyed it, but 3 months later, no, not great. You know, don't worry about it. It happens to all of us with careers, with foods and drinks we like. You know, we like things and then we don't like it anymore. We try new things. You know, you might buy a car and then 3 months later think, actually, this was great when I first bought it, but now I just want to give it up and trade it back in again.
Who's that reminds you?
Yeah. Well, no names.
This gal.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter what time around you're at the moment. If you want to give it a go, then give it a go, because it could be the one, or it could be another example of one that you've tried which didn't work. I think quite a good quote, actually. I can't remember the exact word, but it's something like, I think it's Thomas Edison said, I've not failed, I've found 99 times or something like that didn't work. So it's the same with like a business. If you start it and you don't like it, it's not a failure. It's just one time that you've tried it and didn't work. You'll eventually get there. But I also think that sometimes you can't rush these things either. Is that these things will just come out naturally when you're least expecting it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about taste, because it reminds me about when your taste buds change.
We all change.
Yeah, and like your taste buds change, what you like changes, who you are changes, everything changes. And I think maybe, I think that's a really good point. And maybe saying, when I started X business, Y business, whatever, I was in a different place, mind space, whatever. And yeah, really, really good point about, you know, I like to call them stepping stones. Like when you fail, have setbacks, mistakes, whatever, they're like stepping stones that you hop over to get to where you want to go.
Sorry, I sort of like smirking then because I just thought of stepping stones. You can make your own version of it called stepping stones.
Stepping stones.
So if you see me smirking, that was it. That's just the way my brain works.
Yeah, this is
what you're married to.
Yeah, it's been 15 years and the jokes still keep coming, folks. I don't know when they stop. Also, Phoebe right now is looking very cute. Yeah, she's snuggled into the pillow. She's trying to get away from the light, so she covers her eyes so she can nap. We need to get like a little doggy eye cover. Someone also said, what changes have you seen in me? I think we kind of covered that a little bit, but what changes have you seen versus like before starting the business? Because obviously before starting the business, I was doing GEMA, which is the gemological diploma, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
The JET exams, which is in the UK, it's like the golds. You know, it's like basically training to learn about fine jewelry and all that sort of stuff. So I guess from like those days, which is like well over 10 years ago now.
Yeah, it's now and up.
Yeah. What differences have you seen, I suppose, in me, which feels really awkward to ask about myself, but what differences have you seen then versus now?
Like I say, when you were working for somebody, you weren't happy. You weren't in a good place, I guess, in the sense that, you know, I don't think at the time you had a car, so you had to sort of rely on me or the bus as well.
You are the bus.
In our little blue Daewoo at the time, wasn't it? The little Daewoo Matiz.
I thought you had the Corsa then.
No, I didn't have enough of that fancy then. It was a Daewoo Matiz, cobalt blue. Yep. Just try and move on from that. Somebody edit that bit out, please.
No, don't. You keep that in. The shame has to be kept in. Yeah.
But no, obviously you had to wake up early. You came home, then you try to get your business going. So you were doing a lot of work during the day. You know, you couldn't just jump into your own car 10 minutes and then you're home. You had to rely on me waiting to finish work, going to pick you up, coming back in rush hour, having dinner, trying to spend some time together as well as trying to get your business going. So it was very stressful then. I could definitely see that. In terms of now, you are a lot happier. You've got different stresses, but you've got a happier lifestyle. You know, so we've got a little home, you've got your little cabin, you've got a great little office set up.
Less of the little, please.
Sorry,
we got a little house. It's like that Blue song, Blue House. Oh, blue, what? Now listen up. Here's the story.
Oh, Eiffel 65.
In a blue, it's like, and everything's blue. You're the same, but everything's little.
I was thinking of the boy band Blue, not what you just.
Oh
went
no, I wasn't. What was in my brain wasn't coming out my mouth then. Yeah.
So yeah, no, yeah, you're a lot happier now, a lot happier, and it's nice to see you helping other people as well now.
Oh,
that's great. I like that. I like it a lot.
Oh. So I'm not the Wolf of Wall Street then.
I've never seen the film.
Oh, I need to show you some gifs and some memes after this. You've not seen the meme where he's on the yacht and he's got the sunglasses on, he's just got the money and he's kind of like flicking it out of his hand. No,
I'm literally picturing a wolf in New York. And it's got nothing to do with that. Like a horror film.
Just chilling, just walking around New York.
Or a wolf that's really good with financial investments.
The financial savvy wolf. A kid's book coming near you. What would you change?
What would I change? Oh.
Careful, buddy.
What would I change? That's a tough one to answer, really. What would I change? I don't think there's anything I can change that I have control over. Like, I wish I could have more hours in the day so that you could obviously work and we could spend a bit more time together. Nobody can change that, really. But I don't think there is anything I'd change.
No?
No, I mean, you're happy. I'm happy. Together we're happy. Phoebe's happy, I hope.
She lets us know if she's not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't honestly. I wish we had more time together.
Yeah,
That's what I wish we'd have.
but it's hard, I suppose, when you work full time. I work, well, not really full time, but I try sometimes. Shut up. I try and fit my work around your working hours as well. You don't have a lot of flexibility when you're working for someone, do you?
No, because you're set between certain hours. I think that's the only thing I would literally say I would want to change, is having a bit more time together, if we could.
Yeah, well, that's true. I think having this month off together, and again, I'm going to plug again. There is an episode coming out. So it's episode 31. So it will be coming out after this one, but it's basically, I took a month off and here's how I did it. So currently, as of recording this, we're like 2/3 of the way through having the month off. So I think that's why we're both like, we want more time. Wow. Oh, interesting question. Would you ever consider going self-employed?
So, yes, I would, is the honest answer to that question. However, the industry that I want to go to long-term is football coaching. That I've now found is a big love of mine and a big passion.
Yay.
And it's a completely different area than what I'm used to, obviously, because I'm with IT. So with IT, you tend to just sort of go, you may be a team of 1, 3, 5, maybe. That's all I've ever known to be a max in a company. And it's quite a quiet role, like in the sense that you sort of sit, don't really say much, you're tapping away, you're sorting out emails, replying to help desk tickets, you may make a couple of phone calls in a day, but fundamentally that's it, and you go home. And so having given up football, like playing it, and wanting to then go into coaching, rather naively, I looked onto the FA in obviously England's Football Association and their courses, and it's sort of UEFA C, UEFA B, UEFA A, then UEFA Pro, which is what obviously the big managers like Gareth Southgate have got.
You've just done C, haven't you?
I've just done C and passed, yeah.
Well done.
There's a lot of effort behind that as well, a lot of coursework.
You should interview me.
I will interview you one day. What's it like to be a football coach's wife?
Boring. No, I'm joking. No, I'm kidding.
But I looked on the website, and you think, well, yeah, I can just do that course, and then do that course, and then that course, and then that course, and you don't think about everything else that goes on behind the scenes with it all a little bit. With the UEFA C, I've been doing football coaching, and then I got on to the UEFA C, and it was very much like, here's what we want to see from you. And you think, okay, yeah, it's fine, we'll do that. And then the next one was, here's what I want to see from you now. And then they add more things that they want to see you do as part of your session. You think, oh, okay, yeah, not sort of considered that before. And then the final one is exactly the same, but then they add even more onto that. And of course, at the time of this podcast, you have an in situ visit where somebody from the local FA or your coach development team comes out to assess you. And yeah, I don't want to say the pressure's on so much, because it's not. They're very, very supportive. And the point I'm trying to get at is that there's a lot of personal challenges I've faced with it. And there's a lot more personal challenges I'm going to face if I want to get to where I want to get to, essentially. So, stood in front of 20, 30 people, explaining a coaching session, making sure they all understand it, giving live demos of it, and then also obviously setting the session up, making sure they're engaged with it, making sure they're happy, making sure they're challenged but not too challenged as well. There's a lot that goes on with it. And I think when I first started, I was very introverted. I didn't really like speaking in large groups. I quickly found that out about myself. I was quite anxious. Heart was pounding a mile a minute. At times putting down a few sort of training session cones and stuff like that, I thought, I can't do this. Like, how am I supposed to explain this drill to people? And all of a sudden it gets going and it's absolutely fine. And to this day, I still get it sometimes. And despite despite having gone through the UEFA C and being assessed, doing free face-to-face sessions, doing all the coursework, they passed me with quite like flying marks, really. They were very happy with what I'd done. It is very much sort of self-belief. So I know I'm rambling on a bit, but when it says about considering going self-employed, there's 2 routes I can take. And that's number 1 is going self-employed as a coach, which is how a lot of people do it. They'll set up their own coaching business and they'll go and teach kids, or they'll go and do like summer camps, little clubs, maybe one-to-one coaching sessions if a child, for instance, isn't feeling too confident around other children doing their football. Everyone's got strengths and weaknesses, and there's a few people out there that do that, but that's not what I want to do with my coaching. So with my coaching, it's with adults. I kind of fell into a women's team. I didn't actively look for going into a women's team. It's taught me a lot about women's football versus men's football as well. Some good things, some bad things. But ultimately, I want to sort of carry on with that path, whether it's with a women's team or whether it's with a men's team. But in order to get to UEFA A, you have to be part of a development academy. A club I'm at now does have that, thankfully. But that's how I want to carry on, is with adults football. So going self-employed, I wouldn't be against it. But in the role I want to do, it's very unlikely I'd go self-employed because I'd have to be employed by a club.
Right. Yeah. So it's not. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. So Sarah in the Facebook group asked about managing the home and creating a schedule / plan so that the one building the business has time to focus. I suppose just rewording that. I suppose how do we manage the home life, the schedule, the mountains of stuff we both have to do and coming together to manage that. And I think especially if someone's building, I suppose I'm still building a business, so I don't think you ever really come out of that, do you? Really,
you're always developing and pushing further, aren't you?
Yeah, I suppose it's more of are you actively starting it, growing it, push, or are you just kind of gradually riding the wave upwards? So I suppose from my point of view, we use Asana, don't we? And I use Asana for the team business, all that kind of stuff. And I also use Asana for the home life. And I think the first time I was like, right, we're going to have a shared calendar. We're going to do Asana. We're going to schedule things in. You were like, what the hell?
It seemed a bit OTT at the time, but it really did. But it's worked wonders for us a little bit. Because even with my things, I'll put on Asana, I'm coaching that night or I'm doing that night. And you can look at that and plan your week ahead around that. And I equally look at what you've put in and plan my week around that. I mean, from my point of view, just in terms of the work-life balance and, how do we manage it between ourselves, I think generally most of the time we kind of just pull our weight with everything, really. I'll make your dinner one night, I'll whip the hoover around one night, I'll make the bed, but equally you'll do the washing through the day, you'll empty the dishwasher.
I was stumped at I'll make the dinner for one night. Was that one night a year? Or is that...
No, I meant one night, that's it.
That's it. It's 15 years, that's it. You get one night.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one. Yeah, sorry, go on. When you said one night, I was like, huh.
No, I know what you go through, and you know what I go through. You know what nights I do coaching, so you tend to do dinner for me those nights. I know that sometimes you'll have calls with people that last until 5:30, 6 o'clock, so I'll try and do the dinner that night. Also, part of me, and I feel like you're the same as well, but part of me wants for the other person to finish at the end of the day and want to come in, have their dinner, not worry about cleaning anything up, not having to worry about doing washing, doing this, doing that. So I tend to just get those little jobs done for us. And I think you do the same for me. Because the amount of times I've come in, you say, I'll wash your kit for you. Your dinner's on the table. And I don't know, blah, 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 blah. But can you take the bin out? we kind of just work it out between ourselves. And I think most of the time we've got a kind of a great 50-50 split, but there have been a couple of times where obviously you said to me, look, I'm struggling with managing the housework and Phoebe's been a nightmare during the day. Can I please
believe it though? She is such a tiny dog, but she
rules the roost.
A right cow sometimes. She can just be like in moo mode, can't she? Where she's just like, I'm gonna just.
I don't ever want to say a bad word about her because I love her so much.
Oh, yes,
she's so cute, but you know what she's like. Yeah,
you just can't be mad at
you
that,
can't.
can
She's
you?
so tiny. She's so sweet.
Yeah.
So I think generally speaking, we've got a good, happy balance between us. It's just we have the odd moments, each of us, where maybe we don't consider everything. We don't maybe think about it sometimes, but you tell me honestly, I tell you honestly, and we just work it out, don't we? And overcome it.
I think communication is a massive, massive, massive breaker. It can either make or break, a partnership. I don't think we have any right to give partnership advice or anything like that. Who is, I suppose, but I do think like Asana, I know it sounds like a really stupid little thing, but it was the gateway to being able to communicate. Because a lot of us run around with our schedules and what we want to do that week wrapped up in our heads. And then we get angry when another person doesn't understand that, but we can't see or feel what you're wanting to do that week. So that's why we kind of tend to sit down Sunday night, isn't it? And kind of just go, right, what have you got on next week?
Yep.
And we always start with the big things that we want to do. So you'll have your coaching nights, I'll have calls I've got going on. We always start with the big commitments first, then we kind of fit medium ones in, and then the small ones. And like we said, I try and work around when you're going to be at work, when you're going to do coaching. Yeah, I think because Ash has the biggest, at the moment, he has the biggest time commitment in terms of work, i.e., 9 to 5 goes to a workplace. That's kind of the biggest thing that we have, so that I then fit everything around that, so that the time that we do have it, I'm not working or spending doing other things. But I also appreciate that some people listening, watching, doesn't have that, where they're not currently completely self-employed. So they have work 9 to 5, whatever, and then they have to come home and work on their business. And I think it's just about moderation. Don't always be working.
No. And don't always do things that are productive either. That's a mistake I fell into for many years, is that I wouldn't even go on the PlayStation for more than 20 minutes because I think, although I'm enjoying it, it's not productive. And I would just keep doing all these productive things, studying, work, and then I'd go to bed and I wouldn't be able to sort of switch off a little bit. And it actually had the opposite effect, as that I was kind of overdoing it a bit too much, and not really achieving anything. I was reading this, that, and the other. I was reading it, but it wasn't actually sinking in, because I think I was just trying to read it, try and take it in. My brain was sort of saying, no, you're too tired, you need to focus on other things. And I keep rereading it, and then the same thing. So just make sure you have your me time as well. Make sure you unwind and look after yourself. And
I think quality is a good word to describe that, because you need to spend quality time doing quality productive things, and then equally need to spend quality time with your loved ones. Because we did that, didn't we, for a long time, where obviously when you're younger, you're working, striving to get to something, whether that be business, house, marriage, kids, whatever. And then you'll strive. And then when you do have downtime to spend with the partner, the other person, the other half, whatever, friends, family, social life, it's not quality time because you're so shattered from doing everything.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that, as long as, honestly, it's balance, moderation. And I am a big advocate for communication. If someone, let's say, for example, if Ash is doing football too much, and I feel like it's too much, rather than me hold it in, and then eventually just blow my top and go, oh, for God's sake, you never hear, blah, 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 which I have done, by the way. It's like I'm feeling as if at the moment I'm not seeing you. I'm feeling as if at the moment I'm on my own with a lot of things around the house to do. I'm feeling, and that's a really good thing to do. So there's that, and also being open with like your schedule, what you want to do that week. The last thing you want is to get crossed wires and for someone to go, oh, I'm going to watch a movie with them tonight, or I'm going to do this tonight, or I'm going to go out for dinner tonight. And then they come home and go, sorry, love, I'm off out, So yeah, I think, and again, like Asana or any shared calendar, whatever that is, was a game changer. Because now we've trained ourselves to use it. And even if we haven't had the conversation, I can look and know what Ash is going to be doing and when, so that then I can like manage my expectations in terms of what we're going to do Wednesday night, what we're going to, And I think like I even did things like putting in when we're doing like launches, challenges, all that kind of stuff, so that Ash knows throughout those weeks I'm going to be less available and my schedule can change on a dime piece because there's this big thing going on. So yeah, but I think as well what we do is we schedule quality time. So like I'll tend to go, like we'll go away for a little break directly after doing a challenge, a launch, something like that, because I know that I'm going to be pulled away for a lot of those 2, 3, 4 weeks. So we'll book in something nice that we can, kind of like fall back into routine again. I don't know if that makes sense, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. How have you helped within the business? Because Sarah's also said about identifying business tasks that the partner can help with.
Okay.
It's very hard with Handmade Bosses because it's all very much online. And it's only been the last 3 years I've even had like a team or people to delegate to, outsource to, help with things. So, because of Ash doing what he's doing with the coaching and his job and all that sort of stuff, I think that you've never kind of played an active role within Handmade Bosses, I guess, have you?
Not so much Handmade Bosses, no. I think the most I've done really is helped you to try and wrap some of those planners.
Yes.
Which only takes a couple of minutes to that per planner.
Yeah.
And I guess sort of technical support a little bit when you said to me, this isn't working or that's not working. And I've just run my eyes over it and try to help you as much as I can.
That's true. Yeah, you have done that.
Always update your computer and everything and look after you in that sort of sense of things.
Even when I don't want it.
Well, got to be secure.
I come down and it's like Windows is updating. I'm like, that's great. I expected to wait 35 minutes for that to finish.
You finally upgraded to XP now, aren't you?
Oh my God. You didn't even know what AI tool was.
I did know what an AI tool was. I've just never really used it. I've never really had much use for it before.
All I'm saying.
I do the ask Google thing, like, hey Google, and then ask it a question.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine if you're living back in 2016, but...
Just don't have a use for it. Just don't have a use for it.
Okay. I'm just saying, as an IT expert, should you not be up to date with all the latest?
Well, I know of it, but I just haven't had a use for it.
I'm pulling your leg. Oh dear.
I've just never had a use for it.
So yeah, I think in terms of like tasks, I think IT help for sure.
Yeah.
That's
in terms of
the case.
In terms of your business, it's just wrapping a couple of things. IT support.
Yeah, so I guess when I was first starting the jewellery business, I suppose it was like, I mean, my God, how many parcels of jewellery did you wrap?
Man, too many. After a day's work coming home, it's always things I've got to wrap.
Yeah.
Like 25, 30 a day.
And
then I had to go to the post office the next morning before work.
Yeah. I was a bit of a just recluse, wasn't I, back then? Because there was just so many orders coming in. It was like...
It was great, though.
It was great, yeah.
We look back on it with fond memories, don't we?
Yeah.
In our little flat in the lounge, on that.
Yeah, I've still got pictures of it. Yeah, that's great. Also, emotional/stress support, including when to step in. I think if you know your partner well enough, you when they've had a heavy day, and there's a lot going on. And I think as well, just being open about, Q4 is coming up. Christmas is coming up. The biggest shopping season of the year is coming up. Therefore, I'm expecting a heavy workload. And even putting that on like a shared calendar, or just telling people, you're not going to see much of me because of X, Y, Z. I think just being open and honest. And I think it's less about the partner knowing when to step in, actually more, I'm going to kind of bat it back to you guys and say, maybe just getting better at asking for help. I know that's probably going to pee a lot of people off, but
yeah, definitely ask for help if you need it.
Yeah. Like, don't suffer and kind of just, bundle on along. It's hard as well, because I know that a lot of people who are in jobs start to wind down sort of December the, I don't know, 15th, 20th, whatever. And but as handmade business owners, that is like right slap bang in the middle of like,
because you've only got a couple of days left, I guess, haven't you, before Christmas. Like Royal Mail, they work up to about 22nd, 23rd, I think, isn't it? So you've got to kind of compete with that, and then people place last minute orders.
Yeah, God, that was always a nightmare, wasn't it? But yeah, I think you step in, don't you, when you're like, are you okay? You seem really stressed.
Yeah, I know you know me. We know when each other's not quite right about something.
Yeah.
You just got to look after one another, and support one another.
Yeah.
That's what partnership and marriage is about, really.
Yeah. But I really do think mapping out when the busy times are going to be, and not just like busy order times, but also, like, let's say you're doing a rebrand and you know that it has to be done pretty smartish, and you're thinking, I'm going to be putting a lot of time. Just communicate that to your other half and say, look, as you know, businesses have like brands, and because I don't feel like mine was quite right, I'm doing a complete rebrand. This means that my attention is going to be pulled away from insert thing here. Therefore, I might be a little bit short on time, short on patience. Would you mind helping me out? And if you see me struggling, give me a cuddle. And I think as well, like, another thing is understanding how you process stress and emotions is a good thing to know, because you can then go to your partner and say, if you see me getting a bit like this or whatever, then they can step in and help. One thing, actually there's two things that I suggest all couples to do, whether married, not married, together, kind of together, who knows, is do the 16 personality test. It's Myers-Briggs. We both did that. You probably can't even remember what you were, but I can. And do that. Just spend 30 minutes doing these two things. So the first one is, it's 16personalities.com. Or if you just Google it, you'll find it completely free. And that tells you a lot about how they process emotions, stress, all that kind of stuff. And the second thing is, if you just Google 5 love languages free test, we did that. And you're like, did we?
I am. That's exactly what I thought.
You see what I mean? We did. And yours was words of affirmation. So your love language is words.
I remember that now.
Mine is acts of service. So I think, what are you laughing at?
Nothing.
The other one was gifts. Nothing. I'm just saying it was gifts. So when you got your socks, you should be really grateful.
Yeah, but I would have appreciated more words. Or words on the socks.
Would you like some socks? No, but I think just doing that as well, it shows you what the other person needs to feel loved, and having that knowledge is a lot easier, because when someone is kind of saying to you, you're not showing me enough love, blah, 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 and you're thinking, I feel like I am, then you can kind of see where you're falling short, where they're falling short. It's all about knowing each other, isn't it? So, talking about the financial side of things. So, starting a business requires investment of time, effort, energy, money. I always say those 4 things, but that it is what it is, right? So, how would you manage that, or how would you like it to be managed?
So starting a business requires time, effort, money. How would I like that to be managed? I think just clear communication up front. I'm going to be starting this. I'm going to be doing this on that day, this at that time. I think I'd almost like to be asked how I can help as well. So if you were to say to me, I'm going to start a new business from this week doing that, then I would like to know how I could help, possibly.
And the finance side of it.
Finance side of things, yeah, I mean, communicate that with one another as well. So, you know, if you're starting a new business that's doing one thing which requires materials, and the materials are going to cost X amount, could your partner help out financially? Have you got the money in the bank? Do you need to save up for it?
Yeah, I think being clear about you're spending £2,000, let's say, to start a jewelry business that makes clay earrings. Let's just use that. I think being clear about this £2,000 that I'm spending right now, if all goes to plan and I'm allowed the space, the freedom, the time to be able to do all this, I'm expecting that to turn into a £10,000 a year business in 2 years, you know?
Yeah.
And I think just almost presenting it a little bit like that, rather than being like, oi, Mark, I've just spent 2K on jewelry supplies. You know, I think there's different ways to approach it. I don't know whether that makes sense or not.
Yeah, no, it does. I'm just trying to think of what else I want to say around it, really.
Well, be honest, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it just comes back to communication again. I know I sound like a broken record, I know, but, you know, if you've got a partner that's starting something up and it's going to take time, effort and money, you need to let the other person know about that, because, you know, if, like you say, £2,000 went missing from the bank account and I don't see my partner for a week, he's always doing this, that and the other in the shed or cabin or whatever. It could be woodworkings, you know what I mean? It could be anything.
Yeah.
You need to set expectations, I guess. It's normally like an employee thing, you know, setting expectations as part of an appraisal. So, I mean, don't give your partner an appraisal. but
here's a SWOT analysis of how you are as a partner.
But, you know, for the next couple of weeks, if you need to work on and focus on doing whatever it is that you need for your online business, then just let them know that. The same with the money side of things. You know, if it's going to cost however much, let them know what it's going to cost. So there's no sudden shocks. People can anticipate it coming. You never know. You might even get like acts of kindness. Somebody might say, you know what, I've sold a few things that you don't need anymore. Put this towards your business. And it's all because you've communicated that to them. You know what I mean?
I think being really honest about what it means to you, what it could mean for you as a couple, your family, whatever. You know, we're starting businesses at the end of the day. We're not starting expensive hobbies. So I think as long as you maybe don't get defensive when someone's asking, oh, you know, I noticed there's some money going to like Hobby Lobby and Hobby Crap, like what's going on there? You know, as long as you're honest and you're like, yes, like I'm doing this because I want a better financial future for family, for this, for that. I know that we want to travel a little bit more, so I want to have some money aside for that. I know, you know. And I think in terms of the finances, I think that, you know, saving up for it and not necessarily making a snap decision, but also like, you know, there are things that you can do to save yourself a bit of money to help ease the stress, like, you know, payment plans, Klarna, ClearPay, all those kinds of things that help make it manageable.
Spread the finances out.
Yeah, you've also got things like Top Cashback, Honey, which are like apps that can help you save a little bit on, you know, things. You've also got like credit card sometimes have like points and stuff. I don't know, I'm not, you know, an expert in that, but I think just making it really clear, this is what I want to do. It's for this reason. This is what I'm hoping to get out of it. Here's the financial options that I have. What do you think? And as long as you're not allowing them to completely bend and completely change what you want to do, but still just involving them a little bit. I think the problems start when you're spending and not, telling people why and nothing's coming back from it.
Well, you just said a good word, which is involved, and being involved with something. I like being involved with yours, although I don't really get into it that much. One of the questions earlier was like, how do I help out with the business? And, I don't really do that much. It's still nice to be involved because I like to hear what you're doing, what problems you're facing, because I want to see how I can support you with those problems. And even if I can't, like a problem shared is a problem halved. If you talk through things with me, I might be able to offer you some advice, support, guidance, like you do with me when I come to you with problems. So, yeah, I'd certainly involve your partner. Don't do it alone, because I think that can also feel quite isolated and quite lonely. Like
it drives a wedge between you as well.
Yeah.
And also the partner starts to resent it because they're like, why is this thing taking my partner away from me? Something to consider.
I mean, we've done a car show yesterday, didn't we? Like, it's not really your cup of tea, but I like the fact that you're involved with it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if I just went on my own, I'd feel quite almost like you don't care, or, I feel like there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? Compromise.
Oh, compromise.
Like compromise.
Yeah.
Like, I compromise things for you, you compromise things for me, and it just works really well, I think, for both of us.
Yeah, I mean, and although we're married, we've been married for 7.
7, yeah, I was going to say 7.
7 years, but we were to get out. We've been married for 7 years. We were together since 2009, so 2017. So 8 years before we got married. So we've had experience of both extensively. Hasn't really changed how our relationship is. I just think relationships do take work at the end of the day. I think if a person's important to you, you want to involve them in every aspect of your life. And I've done that.
I think they're along the same lines as that.
Yeah, I've done that before, where I get, Ash would call it my obsessive moments and my project moments, where I get really into something and really like all in, and I kind of shut everything else out. And then Ash is kind of like peeking back the curtain, like, you okay in there? Do you need help? And I think the curtain has to come down, and you have to sort of say, even if they don't understand it fully, they are going to kind of get why you're doing it. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What would be your final thought to part everyone with? You're talking to handmade business owners throughout the whole world.
Okay.
What would be your final thought?
I think the biggest advice I can give is the same as I give to our players, is that each and every single person out there is different, but you have to believe in yourself. You're doing this for a reason. I know I keep using football, but I'm trying to think in the same headspace. With our players, some of them will be really confident, some of them may not be as confident. But like I say to them, just go out there, have fun, enjoy yourself, and believe in yourself. Believe in your capabilities and your abilities and what you can accomplish. And it's the same with you for handmade business owners, is that you may be questioning things, you may be querying things, but believe in yourself. And I sort of listen to my own advice a little bit, because I've always been somebody that gives up on things quite easily. And there's been times when I've done coaching and it's not gone quite right, or I don't feel good in myself doing it. And I've just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And I keep saying to myself, believe in yourself, just keep on this path, don't give this up. And that would be my advice to you, is just keep pushing. Don't give it up. If it doesn't work out this time around, one day, if your heart is set on doing a handmade business, but you're not sure what it's on, and you're trying one thing and it doesn't work out, don't worry about it, because one day you'll find something that does. So just keep pushing with it.
Aww.
I hope that's good advice anyway.
Yeah, it is good advice.
I've probably spoken a lot of crock, so I apologise about that. But
don't apologise. No, he doesn't apologise. Suddenly got very bright all of a sudden.
Sun's out.
Sun's out, guns out. T-shirt off, Ash. Come on, let's go.
You don't want to see this body.
Okay, so thank you so much for listening / watching. Phoebe's doing a massive stretch right now. So if you're watching on the video version, you have a treat of the whole family being on camera, and you can watch our extended cut of laughing at nothing and stupid jokes and everything else. But thank you so much for getting this far. I know this has been a long one, but I hope that you've gotten some good nuggets, and if you've had one, DM me, let me know, and Ash as well, because he will see it, and let us know if you've listened to this with your other half and how that's gone. And yeah, but for now, guys, we will see you. I will see you, because Ash is off coaching and doing all sorts of things, but I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.
Thanks. Bye all.
Thank you so much for tuning in to How to Be a Handmade Boss. And if you're eager to boost your Etsy sales within just 7 days, then be sure to join my most popular free training at handmadebosses.com/conversion. You can also find the link in the show notes as well. Keep an eye out for our next episode, where we'll be continuing our journey towards handmade business success together. And until then, keep crafting and stay inspired, because the world really does need those special creations that only you can make.